Howdy guys, I am getting ready to water my lithops. And while like I said in the last video, if you haven't watched part 1 of this, while I don't recommend just misting your lithops instead of deep watering them, I do still use a spray bottle for a couple of reasons. I don't have a pot, or my pot that has really tiny lithops in it isn't ready to be watered right now. So I'm going to show you these conophytums as an example instead, which is the exact same principle. One of the reasons I would use a spray bottle is if they're really tiny, like these guys who are just waking up. When I water them like this, with the water faucet here, sorry you can't see, I have a water faucet right here. If I were to just turn this on, the sand would just wash instantly over and cover these guys. So I will take my spray bottle and gently wet the whole top of the sand before I water, and this helps it just not puff up and run. And then I can slowly let the water in and soak the pot all the way if I need to. Now these guys don't really need a soaking right now. They've already had a soaking a little bit ago, which they're going into their active growth phase, so they're happy and a little mist isn't going to hurt them. So I just showed you with that, so I'm not going to soak them, but if I was going to, I would go ahead and do that now. Another reason I would use a spray bottle is if I have several different lithop varieties in a single pot where I'm going to observe them. I use a lot of really tiny pots like this, but sometimes it just gets really annoying to have a zillion of those with 1 or 2 in them. And they really do a lot better crowded because they share rooting hormones with each other. So they really like having company. So when I put multiple varieties in a pot together, as is often the case, some need watering and others don't. So this guy here is nice and round and plump and really doesn't need water. This little cluster, on the other hand, is quite wrinkled. So what I would do, because I still like to deep water them, if possible, is take my spray bottle again, and I'm going to put it on a stream, but I'm just going to gently spray it. So I'm going to put it right at the base, and if these others get a little bit, it's just fine, but I'm going to keep squirting until it soaks down deep. And depending on the type of top dressing you use, if you use top dressing, then I can take the spray bottle and kind of squirt the sand back over where it belongs if I need to. These guys here are just a little bit shriveled. You can't really see, but because these are new, I'm going to give them another little bit of a drink as well, because they were very dry in shipping, and I wanted to observe them for a little bit before I gave them too much to drink, and I've had them for probably a month or 2 now, so they're going to get a little bit of a drink also. And you can see how the sand from the stream, even though I was being gentle, just scooched it away here. You can either mush it down with your fingers, or you can take your spray bottle and oops, I turned it the wrong way. Make it into more of a fan spray. There we go. And use it to just kind of move the sand. But depending on the type of soil, whether you use a top dressing or not, wetting the top first, like I said, can be really nice. And the other thing a spray bottle can be nice for is just cleaning out their the sand or whatever. Typically I have used pumice almost always, but this winter, since I was redoing all of my top dressings, I thought, you know what, I'm going to try sand. I haven't liked sand in the past because it has held moisture around the base, but now that I know for sure that I'm kind of an underwaterer, even on lithops, I feel very comfortable with the sand. But if you tend to overwater your lithops, I wouldn't recommend using sand, especially if you're in a humid environment, because sometimes it can take a little bit longer to dry out. So I would recommend pumice. And there's one with pumice for you to see. I don't necessarily I like the look of top dressings, and I like that it helps hold the plant upright, etc. But I really like being able to see the soil for knowing when to water, especially when I first started out. But now that I'm getting used to these guys, I'm liking top dressings a lot more. But if you don't like top dressings, don't feel bad. It is totally fine. You do not need them if you don't like them. So this guy, I'm gonna give a little soak. But before I do, he's just got some dirt down in his little bloom cracks here. And I'm gonna clean that out. This guy's getting ready, oops, right here. This guy's getting ready to bloom, and my camera is about to die. I didn't realize that. So this guy here is budding out, and so I know that they are in a nice active growth phase, so I'm gonna soak this pot. And I run mine in pretty slow because I don't want to disrupt a lot of the soil. But I just give it a really good soak. I usually put a little bit of moss in the bottom of my holes in these pots so that the dirt doesn't just run out the bottom when I water, because these guys do get really dry. But once it starts dripping out the bottom there, then we're good. I typically blow if a lot of water goes down into a crack and it's a really big, deep one, I tend to blow the water out. So that guy I would soak. These guys are also going to get a really good soak. These are smaller, and these guys get watered more often. Because of the pumice on these, I don't have to worry about them. It's pretty, I don't have to worry about the sand or anything. If you have trouble, I'm trying to kind of flip this here, but not too much. I don't want to cause myself too much trouble. Okay, there we go. If you have trouble with the dirt mixing with your top dressing like that, it's because you're watering too fast. So just turn your stream down. It's floating up to the top. The light dirt underneath is floating up to the top faster than it can drain out the bottom. And if these guys were really shriveled on top here, I would water them a couple of times. But pot size is hugely important for these guys if you are soaking them. The reason I can soak these guys often is because there's a lot of them in a pot and it's not very deep. It's deep enough, but it's not very